Good day. In October of 2009, the Norwegian Nobel Committee made an announcement that was quite controversial. They announced Barack Obama as a recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. Barack Obama had been in government for just 9 months at that time. And that announcement took a lot of people quite by surprise. Well, it so happened that Barack Obama eventually served 2 terms. And if you ask me, as a geopolitical analyst, Barack Obama's administration was a disaster for the world, a big one. And as an African, a West African, Barack Obama's policies destroyed our region completely and rolled back democracy in West Africa because somehow, in his do-good policies, he felt that it was important and imperative to use the might of NATO on Libya, a country with a vast stash of military armament. That country is a basket case several years later. Barack Obama was not deserving of that Nobel Peace Prize, but the Nobel Committee got swept by all that was carrying on in the world, especially in the Western world then. It was a good time because it was Barack Obama, no doubt, is a person of history. He was the first Black person, African American, to be president, and that was a great thing in itself. So there was something to celebrate. Anyway, we have a new president now. His name is Donald J. Trump, and he has achieved quite a lot. He has so many milestones he has achieved. There's a lot in the win column for Donald Trump. But there's one trophy he seeks so dearly that is not on his mantle, his trophy cabinet, the Nobel Peace Prize. By tomorrow, by the time most people will be watching this video, the Nobel Peace Prize would have been announced. Unfortunately, the Norwegians seem to have already made up their mind on who the Nobel Peace laureate should be. And from what we gather, it most likely may not be Donald Trump. But between today and tomorrow and a few hours intervening, that may change. Because the Norwegians are bracing up for President Trump's heir and rat should he be not nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. After all, he has carried on a coup and achieved something that he says had been an intractable problem for 3,000 years. He has brought peace, and from the lettering of that peace, permanent ceasefire to Gaza. It was announced today. There is celebration in Gaza, in the ruins of Gaza. Amidst these ruins, there's celebration. There's celebration in the Middle East, and even in Israel, amongst the very fervent and warmongering ministers. There was reason, and the Israeli cabinet has endorsed the permanent ceasefire. At this moment, it is expected that peace will come to Gaza. Good day, and welcome to my channel, Ebima Mungo's Perspective on Global Affairs. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. If you have any comments regarding the opinions I expressed in this video, please put them in the comment section. Do well to like and share. President Trump is a man on a mission. The Nobel Peace Prize is something he has been fixated on, and he says it. In his 9 months as the 47th president of America, he has been very hard at work bringing peace to several regions. He tells everybody, I have stopped wars in 7 theaters, some of them very, very old wars, especially depending on when you meet him. It can be Azerbaijan, it can be Azerbaijan, but Azerbaijan and Armenia because these days, recently, President Trump has not been so sure of the countries he has stopped war with. But he has made this mission of winning the Nobel Prize something that people can hold him to account for. So today, when he announced through a social media post, truth social media post, that he has finally made peace with me. There's a peace settlement. It was quite a happy moment. I am proud to announce that Israel and Hamas have both signed off on the first phase of our peace plan. This means that all of the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps towards a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. All parties will be treated fairly. This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, all surrounding nations, and the United States of America. We thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers. Indeed, blessed are the peacemakers. That's a quote from the Bible. And this announcement also was also made by the leaders of Hamas. They did announce that there was a peace deal made. The leaders of Hamas were asserting that they may not necessarily have given up their right to continue to seek self-determination. And that right is very enviable, is very important to Hamas and to the people of Palestine, because the two-state solution is one that they are totally committed to. Israel has its own understanding of this war, of this peace moment, but Hamas also has its own understanding of it. Maybe I should just play a little bit of this, the response from the leader of Hamas. And he's the chief negotiator, not the leader, but the chief negotiator of Hamas. This is what he had to say.
To announce that we have reached a deal for ceasefire to put an end to the aggression and also to proceed to a permanent ceasefire and the withdrawal of the army, and to allow the aid to enter to Gaza and to open the Rafah crossing from both sides. To announce that.
So there was a lot of celebration in Gaza, especially among the young children. This year is celebration among workers of the they are the ones who were most impacted by this war. There was a lot of killing of paramedics, doctors. There were a lot of doctors. All the hospitals in Gaza were bombed, destroyed. And they had a lot to celebrate, because they were always on the front line. Another group of people who celebrated were the Egyptians. They celebrated the fact that peace has come to Gaza. They celebrated that they had a very big hand in bringing about this peace. But no doubt, the biggest celebration was from the children of Gaza, who have for 2 years. Yes, there was indeed celebration. There was celebration among the children, among the various classes of people in Gaza, all over this celebration. And indeed, we're looking forward to peace. Maybe truly President Trump does deserve that Nobel Prize, but who knows? We really don't know. As at this moment, there's a website that tracks, it's like a gambling website called Polymarket. He doesn't seem to be favored in it. It seems to be very, very it's far behind. It's number 4 in the list. But the Israeli cabinet finally agreed to it. The Israeli cabinet, we should understand, has had 2 very, very big warmongers among them. Smotrich, the finance minister, and Ben-Gvir, the internal security minister, both lead 2 parties that are very committed to the destruction and complete removal of the Palestinians from that region that they stay in, Gaza. They also voted for the annexation of the West Bank. But this period of peace, a few weeks ago, who would have thought that peace would have come? If I am to give an opinion of things, I think Israel and Netanyahu went a little bit too far when they underestimated their might and went into the oil and gas-rich nation of Qatar, there ostensibly to go and kill the negotiators for Gaza, for Hamas. That action galvanized Qatar. We now see the diplomatic savvy of Qatar. Qatar already had a friendship and an alliance with Turkey. Qatar and that ability to galvanize all the countries in the Middle East. The Middle East is a place where their differences has been what defined them. But this time around, they had a singular purpose. Because in attacking Qatar, America's biggest ally in the region, it will signal to every single monarch, the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, and all of them there that Israel does not respect them, does not respect America, and Netanyahu would do whatever he felt was he could do. But I think this unity shown by the whole countries of the Middle East was one that was a little bit too much for Israel. Israel had to back down, especially also at the time and chance. Time and chance also worked in favor of everybody in Gaza. The social media backlash, the problems they were having with American First and MAGA crowd who were calling out the Israeli lobby. This is not a good time for Israeli propaganda. Israel lost the narrative, and this repeated refrain of and chant of genocide and genocide was one that was beginning to disturb quite a lot of Israelis, especially these days. We see Israelis go on holiday in Thailand, in Japan, they go for conferences, they go to China, and they're harassed. They go to Europe, and where it was the biggest fact that Spain, Ireland, European countries all suddenly started to recognize the Palestinian state. There was a turning point. That was a big turning point. Not to talk of the fact that someone like Greta Thunberg now entered the mix, and demonstrations all over Europe the moment that had a flotilla, the one she led, the global Somod flotilla was stopped. There was demonstrations, million people demonstrations in Italy. That changed everything. It started to show the whole world that they had lost support. Demonstrations even in Australia, demonstrations in Germany, to the extent that the German chancellor, while giving a speech, was crying. He believed that what he was witnessing was a resurgence of anti-Semitism. But when the demonstrations in New York was led by Jews, Orthodox Jews, the narrative was lost. I think Netanyahu may have just found out that it may be in his best interest to take the deal while it is on offer. But for one person who does not believe that President Trump is deserving of the Nobel Prize is Zelensky. Zelensky, the prime minister, the president of Ukraine, believes that all that Trump has done, stopping all these wars, just falls short because he has not given Ukraine or approved for Ukraine the sovereign weapon called the Tomahawk missile. He believes that if Ukraine gets this Tomahawk missile, one outcome will be achieved. It will sober up the Russians and force them to the negotiating table, and they will be screaming and begging and yelling and kneeling and pleading for a ceasefire. And that ceasefire will ultimately mean that President Trump is deserving of the Nobel Prize. So for Zelensky, the Nobel Prize that Trump seeks so dearly is essentially tied to his approval of the Tomahawk missile. These days, we hear quite a lot of people, Hungarian foreign minister, some ministers in other countries like Slovakia, they use fancy words like delusional to describe Zelensky. That is not me saying it. It's all these other people. But I don't know. Whatever you think about Zelensky, please put it in the comment section. But that is what he thinks, that it's just that little requirement of approval of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. He says delivery of long-range missiles to Ukraine will erase all the recent gains, and it will put America on all the Russian gains and put Ukraine on a very sound footing. That's what he believes. Now an important signal is the strengthening of Ukraine by all possible means. And this is one of those opportunities that is important to me. Tomahawk missiles. Zelensky told journalists on Thursday. We wish him well in his push for Tomahawk missiles. But one thing came out of it: this war is not going well. We know how Ukraine has stepped up very, very effectively. We must admit that 16, I think some say 19, some say 20, some say 25 refineries and oil depots within the fringes of Russia, southern Russia there, have been taken out, blown, hit by Ukrainian drones and missiles. It's been very effective. But it's been the response of the Russians that has been quite telling. A recent barrage left what Bloomberg has reported to be a 60% reduction in gas generation and gas reserves of Ukraine. We see big fires. There was an underground gas exchange that was violated very, very badly by an assault of six Kinjal missiles. They destroyed a very critical gas processing facility. And that has done its own bit in destroying 60% of gas output for Ukraine. And it's unrelenting. The Russians are stepping it up. They're hitting trains, they're hitting power stations, they're hitting substations. Because when you now have the capacity to produce almost 1,000 Guarantee drones and Guarantee drones, and these drones complement Kinjals and KH-101 and all these hypersonic missile systems that we hear, you have complete control of the air of Ukraine. You've improved on your missiles, ballistic and cruise missiles, so they are now evading interceptors from the Patriot missiles at a very more successful rate. It then becomes that you own Ukraine's airspace and you violate them at will, and that's what we're seeing. So the other day at the Valdai conference, we saw a Putin that was very relaxed, very cheerful, he wasn't bothered by all the concerns being put about Russia's position in this war. We don't know what kind of a winter is looking ahead for Ukraine as things are changing. Well, on the converse side, President Putin decided to make peace with one of the countries whose refineries he had been taking out in Ukraine, and that is Aliyev of Azerbaijan. There is a meeting going on now somewhere in Tajikistan. Please appeal for forgiveness for this. Once the syllabus gets to be like a little bit more, it becomes a little bit of a problem. But it's Tajikistan. And the capital there is Dushanbe. They're meeting there. And it created an opportunity for President Putin to meet with Aliyev. The excuse actually was that President Putin was apologizing for a plane crash that happened when, I think that plane crash, a Russian air defense is shot down at Azerbaijani. And they shot down an Azerbaijani plane, and Azerbaijan felt it was not good enough. But that was a signal. The Azerbaijani diaspora has been very much in favor of supporting the Ukrainians. They helped them very extensively in Operation Spiderweb. And the relationship between Azerbaijan and Russia really deteriorated. But this particular meeting here, we see the diplomacy that Russians put that is quite amazing. They've tried with America, that diplomacy is ongoing, but it's even with Azerbaijan, who they have hit their refineries in Ukraine. They've hit about 3 refineries. Some are said to be owned directly by the Aliyev family. But in this meeting here now in Tajikistan, this meeting is Central Asian leaders are meeting within that region there, and they are framing a framework for economic development and collaboration. Aliyev showed up, and We should remember that Aliyev has made peace with Armenia. Aliyev is quite belligerent towards the Russians. He actually said something about the colonizing powers. This thing of he called them imperialists. He has used very choice words against the Russians in recent time, and that was the reason why he was recently invited to the White House to meet with President Trump, with the Armenian president, and it is one of the wars. Ababajan or Azerbaijan, whatever you call it, that's one of the words Trump keeps saying that he has solved. So this is some form of rapprochement because we know that it is always in the best interest of that neighborhood. Russia needs to make sure that it has good relationship. They have vehicles. They reach out. They don't care if they have their relationships wane goes up and down, but they do put in an effort to try and improve that relationship. And Putin is a master of it. Of course, we already know the effort that is indefatigable foreign minister who is always all over the world making new alliances in Africa, in Latin America, in Europe, in even among the Indonesians. We know how they continue to do that. And today, even in that meeting, the Central African states now announced that, I think as a formal announcement, they'll be trading among each other in local currencies. Local currency trade will mean that that process of the dollarization, one of the strengths of America, is continuing to slowly wane. And it is having a problem. So they have all agreed. We know them. Kazakhstan is among the biggest there. Uzbekistan and Azerbaijan, all of those countries in that Central Asia are all now agreeing. They already have the security arrangements that they have, the CSTO, and now they have an economic framework where they will trade with each other. We should remember that somehow it was sold on the world that everybody should trade with the dollar, but now they are moving away from it. But while the Russians are improving diplomacy between themselves and their neighbors and everything, it seems like that diplomacy that was started by Trump and Putin in Alaska seems to be waning away. That's what some Russian politicians believe. They believe that the momentum of the diplomacy that was started between Russia and America has lost its steam. You know, it's US and Russia talks is in a serious pause. Russian officials say the momentum from Alaska summit between Trump and Putin has been exhausted, and it is now in a serious pause. Dialogue between Russia and on a resolving Ukraine conflict is on a serious pause. Dmitry Peskov, we know him, he's known one of Putin seems to have some people who have been in that government as long as he has been there. He seems to have more confidence. Peskov has been there for a long time too. And that is the position of things. It's unfortunate, but that's just how the Americans feel it. But even then, we should realize one thing now. President Putin made a very important statement there that may be good for the continuing peace in the Middle East. He announced in this way that he had a phone call with Netanyahu recently, and he announced that he told Netanyahu, because he has access not only to Netanyahu, but Abbas Aragachi, and the whole Iranian polity. He told the Iranians that Netanyahu has signaled that Israel will not be attacking it. Anything Netanyahu says, I think you should take with a very big, healthy dose of salt. That is my own take. But I have been saying on this forum, I've been saying in this my platform, that there will not, despite all the bluster, all the accumulation of military assets within the Middle East, Israel dare not go start a war with Iran at this point in time. All the cards and all the chips are stacked against Israel. It will just be foolhardy Trump is very close to his project for a Nobel Prize. He's very intent on it. America may be building up because that is what the political class expect, but that will. But it's not just that the Russians have been making sure that they load and pump the Iranians solid and strengthen their ability to do harm to the Israelis much more. They are much more alert, much more prepared for any Israeli attack. But beyond that also, they have that silent partner who never says anything, who is just busy building and commissioning new infrastructure within the confines of their country and very far away through a policy called Belt and Road Initiative, giving ports, rail lines, new infrastructure, roads to several countries in the south part of the world. That's China. A partner who has been, in its silence, the strongest support of Russia and Iran. These days, we hear Netanyahu say that his problem is with China. China has not even said anything about what's going on there. He keeps saying that it's China. I guess he's coming late to the party. He's just joining the whole slew of American politicians who had identified several years ago that China is the problem for them. Now he's pointing to China because China is who is still trading with Iran, buying 4 million barrels of oil, a vast amount of oil, increasing 90%, or let me put it, maybe the total output of the Iranians is supposed to be 4 million, but the Chinese buy about 1.9 million barrels per day, which represents almost 90% of Iranian production at this point in time because they are still ramping up their production. And besides that too, they are very much involved in helping to develop the wells and the gas fields of Iran. Now they are fully in. They built a rail line that connects China to Iran, the alternative path and all. So that relationship and that partnership is solid on the economic front, diplomatic front, and the military front. Already we know, they have said that they are not going to be in support of any sanctions placed as part of the snapback sanctions coming off the JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Actions. They're not going to be part of it. They feel it's illegal. It's not. They are already throwing they're putting a stick in the spoke of all the plans, well-heeled plans of the E3, the Germans, the Britons, the French, and the Americans. It's not happening. Iran, Putin was telling the world today and assuring Iran that Netanyahu has said and signaled that he's not planning to attack Iran. For me, as a commentator, he had not the capacity. He doesn't have it. He will not do it. I've been saying it here. The whole world is looking at what is going on and saying that he will do it. He won't do it. He can't do it. He'll be on his own. He'll be destroyed. He'll be destroyed politically, not because the Iranians will destroy Israel, but because Israel may not be able to achieve the outcomes that they want. And the domestic problems he's facing is going to ultimately catch up with him. So that's why Netanyahu may not do it. But Netanyahu has actually sent word to Putin to please tell the Iranians that they should stay easy. The Iranians have been bolstering and chanting and showing off Fatah 2, Fatah 3, Fatah, and hypersonic missile systems that send a lot of worry. The other day, Netanyahu, in order to try and get the Americans really engaged again, the Americans are getting distracted and not interested. He said that the Iranians are now building ballistic missile systems that can get to New York and Florida and Donald Trump's bedroom in Mar-a-Lago. There was a time that talk used to be very interesting to a lot of Americans, not anymore. He did it. He was successful in telling them, urging the Americans that it was expedient on them to take out Gaddafi. They did. He told them that they should get out Saddam Hussein. They did. He also told them that they should get out al-Bashir. They did. But now everybody is on to his wolf crying. They're not listening to him again. That silent partner that has shown so much muscle with very little talking, gave out a paper today, gave out a statement, policy statement. China has announced further export control measures on rare earth metals. China imposed these export controls on graphite and lithium batteries, and now they have added rare earth metals. We already know that it was the rare earth metals that they used to give President Trump a knockout punch when he came smoking and he burst out into the world on April 2nd with his tariffs against the world and its whole slew of tariffs that he rolled out in April 2nd. But when it came to the trade war with China, they put export controls. The automotive industry, the military industrial complex was starved of something that's very minor, magnets, rare earth magnets. It turned out that one export control put all the industrial processes of GE, Boeing, Mercedes-Benz, and all these big industrial giants we hear about, they all came crashing. Ford particularly even closed some of their factories. China has, for some reason, from what I gather, it's they are also, America is also trying to strangle them from their having access to semiconductors, which they've been doing for a long time. However, it just signals that the trade talk, which has gone into 4 rounds, the last round being, I think, in Sweden, it seems like that trade talk has gone south. It's not going the way they want. So the Chinese have gone back to using the one card they have. Already we know what they are doing to American farmers. They've stopped buying soya beans, and they also have stopped buying cotton. They have stopped buying quite a lot of things. But if nothing at all, they have complete access to most of the resources that makes Russia such a very rich country. And that partnership between them and Russia is what has created the multipolar world that we are living in today. This is where I end my video. If you have any opinions regarding the views I expressed, please put them in the comment section. If you think Trump is very deserving, whatever the announcement is made tomorrow, whether he wins it, he doesn't win it, whatever opinion you have as to his quest for the Nobel Peace Prize, please put them in the comment section. If you think that the Israelis will not attack Iran, put it in the comment section. Whatever it is you think about this video, please also put in the comment section. Do well to like and share. Until I see you in my next video, you have a good day.